The Empowerment Show aims to equip individuals with the necessary tools, knowledge, and confidence to make informed decisions and take control of their lives. It also focuses on ensuring access to essential resources and the opportunities.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of Politrics. I'm Stevenson. I'm here with my brother Yates. Ashe, brother, how you?
I'm good, brother. Hotep.
Old tech. I forgot about that. You was teaching me about that last week. We always like to be grateful for something, but I'm going to tell you, I'm grateful to be where I'm at in Pennsylvania and not in Jamaica. I want to say a prayer out to all of those people that are in Jamaica and going through that 105-mile-an-hour wind and a lot of turmoil. They're talking about landslides and all kind of things that may be happening out there to the people in Jamaica. So I just want to send my heart out and hope everything works out well for them. So I'm saying my prayers to them. Ashe?
Ashe, brother. And I second that. I don't know if a storm of this magnitude has ever hit the island. And, so many of us have been down to the island of Jamaica, have visited and, felt the warmth and the friendliness of the people of Jamaica. So, our prayers are with them, that they will, I guess, survive this monstrous storm that's hitting the island.
It's supposed to be a Category 5, man.
Yeah. They said sustained winds of 175 miles an hour. I mean, I can't even imagine.
And it already made landfall.
Yes, it has. I think on the south coast of Jamaica.
Yeah. Is that near Montego Bay?
I think Montego Bay may be on the north coast of Jamaica. Yeah.
The irony of it is I'm supposed to be taking a little mini vacation with the wife down to Jamaica in a couple of weeks.
Well, hopefully by then, things will have. Well, let's just hope that the storm doesn't do the damage that's expected.
Yeah, let's hope not, man. Well, right here in Pennsylvania, we talk. Well, between you and I, we talk the local news and we talk about what else is going on around in large government. So right now, the government is shut down. And I just want to say how it's going to affect the Pennsylvanians over here. A lot of people that are on the SNAP program, about 144,000 people that are on the SNAP program, they're going to be affected by this, not only the shutdown, but by the taking away the money, the defunding of the program itself. So, and I think it's ridiculous. I think the people in White House and those people up there that make a decision that, especially the ones that are sitting home, they've been home for over a month now during the shutdown. But I think those people should be ashamed of themselves, man. Honestly, it's like they don't care about the average American. They care more about what's going on in foreign policy. With foreign policy in the other countries, like they'll give $40 billion and sanction it, $40 billion to Argentina. Now in Argentina, they're already taking over the soy industry because China said the hell with America. Now they gave it to Argentina's, the soybean industry. And here you got this guy giving $40 billion to them and telling us, oh, here's the kicker. We need to buy beef from Argentina. Come on. He goes to Japan and tells us we need to buy foreign cars. So when are we going to get to the point of make America great again and putting America first? Because it seems like we're putting everyone else first except for us. I mean, we talked about that with the in Israel that these kids are going to school for free. They got universal health care over there. Well, we're shelling out billions and trillions of dollars every year. So when are we going to make America first again?
Well, that was a slogan that Ronald Reagan used back in 1980 when he ran for the office of president of the United States. These are just slogans, mind you. Reagan, when he was elected president, within months of his election, started the systematic dismantling of the labor movement. First, he fired the air traffic controllers who were on strike. And then he fired the Greyhound bus drivers. I mean, Greyhound is a private company, but because of the interstate commerce compact, he was able to fire the Greyhound bus drivers. And then within years, we started hearing about outsourcing and jobs heading overseas. So the idea is, to make people believe or think that it's all about America and improving the lives of Americans, when really it's just a slogan.
Hmm.
And you said something that Congress needs to be ashamed. The politicians don't have shame.
Hmm.
Now, let me just give you a case in point. I heard a radio, or listened to, I guess, MSNBC this morning, and some of the Republicans chimed in on the mayoral race in New York, and they were condemning Zoran Mandami as being a socialist, and they was talking about preserving democracy. You want to preserve democracy now? Why didn't you preserve democracy when the president started rounding up people illegally and deporting them and denying them of their due process,
Mm-hmm.
which is a guarantee from the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution? Where was preserving democracy then? Where was preserving democracy when the president was instituting these tariffs, which he has no constitutional right to do? That is a function of Congress.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the president and Pete, if you make me defense secretary, I'll stop drinking Hexa. Right now, they are amassing military, our military off the coast of Venezuela. And I'm going to read you a direct quote from New York Times from the president of the United States. Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily ask for a declaration of war, the president told reporters at the White House on Thursday. I think we're going to kill people that are bringing drugs into our country, okay? We're going to kill them. They're going to be like dead. This is the president of the United States saying, basically admitting to murder of Venezuelans. What do you mean you're concerned about democracy? You're concerned about democracy as it relates to New York City, mayoral race, but don't give a damn about the rest of this country? Where's the democracy when you're denying people their basic rights? Where's the democracy when the president has a hit list, when he's just going after his political enemies
Mm-hmm.
with no evidence, no justification, no probable cause? But now you want to talk about preserving democracy? I like to tell Speaker Johnson, go somewhere and sit your crazy ass down.
Please, Speaker Johnson, Mike Johnson. Oh, he's
Yeah.
when I look at him, I see Minnie Mouse or Mickey Mouse. All he got to do is get the little bigger ears and put on one of those stupid hats, and he can play Mickey Mouse. This is ridiculous what these people are doing, man.
Mhm.
I'm telling you, I honestly don't. This is like some kind of evil. It's got to be when you're willing to spend billions and trillions of dollars on other people, but you're not willing to spend this trillions of dollars on Americans. All you're doing is taking from the American society every time you turn around, from not with the museums, with the educational institutions, the banks, the money, just take and take and take from Americans. And you're only giving it to that little 1% up there, man. It's got to be evil. And the hell with people eating, the hell with that. Let them go hungry. Every time I see this, man, I hear him start talking that nonsense. What rings in my ear is Marie Antoinette. Just give them cake. Let them eat cake. The hell with the people. Just let them eat cake. Because
Well,
he obviously don't care about the farmers. Not in this country.
I think that, and we talked about this, last week. There is about a third of the American people, if the polls are correct, that still believe in Trump and his policies. A lot of us do not want to, I guess, wake up and accept the reality. And that is that this country is so deeply in debt, so deeply flawed that there's really no way to fix it. Trump realizes that, and those around him, the top 1%, realize that. That's why the investments are flowing out of this country instead of into this country.
Hmm.
They know that because they are, wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, they can pick up and leave this country at any time. Trump knows, or should know, that once he's finished with this country will be completely destroyed economically, politically, socially. He
Mhm.
knows that. He talks about possibly a third run in 2028. Because, I mean, whatever's left, if there's anything, I guess he'll just maybe stay in office to take a little bit, what the remaining candy from a baby, he'll take that. But if you just think about it, next month, a lot of these cuts will go into effect. We're already talking about the SNAP benefits, the EBT, you know, things people need just for basic food
Basic
sources.
survival, just basic survival. That's
Basic
it.
food stuff.
You
That's
know,
going to be going the end of the month.
nobody's asking to give me millions and billions of dollars. We're just talking basic survival, basic skills that people need to survive. You know how many people, this is what is so ridiculous, because a lot of the people that are going to be affected, they voted for this man. This is, and I say, is this what you voted for? You
Yeah,
voted
yeah,
for this?
yeah, they did. Because, they voted not to make America great again. They voted not to improve the economy. This was a vote against Joe Biden. This was a vote against what they perceive as the rise of Black and brown people. And you have to keep in mind, right? There was a book that came out probably in the early 90s called Death of the West. Pat Roberts wrote a book, and in that book, he talked about how within this century, the 21st century, white people will be a minority all over the planet. And that's becoming evident. So in response to that book, what you saw is a redoubling of the efforts to end things like abortion. We're not putting any money into things like early childhood education. We're taking money away from these programs that, working families would use to supplement their income and buy basic food stuff. So we're taking away SNAP, we're taking away EBT. We're also saying you got to have the baby, you got to carry it to full term. So their fear was that with the Caucasian population having so much difficulty procreating, having children, and the birth rates of Black and brown people exploding, something had to be done. So a lot of things were put in place, again, to mitigate the growing Black and brown population, and to try to find ways to augment the European or Caucasian population. That's always been a fear, and now they see it, right? And some of these actions clearly indicate, what these people in this country really think and what they really feel.
Yeah,
Trump
but
is
I mean, what's going on is not just hurting Black people. It's going to hurt poor white people, Asian people. It's going to hurt everybody. And what's going on is really something that's going on around the world, where rich people are just trying to do more taking. I was asked. I don't mean to run another, but I was asked by a young lady to ask you about the situation, what's going on in the Congo.
Mhm.
Do you know what's going on in the Congo?
Well, there's been a civil war going on. Not shouldn't say a civil war. Um, there's been an ongoing war between Congo and their neighbor Rwanda, right? I guess since as long as the conflict has been going on between Israel and Palestine, which I should just say the genocide, 'cause it wasn't a war. As long as that has been going on, the war between Congo and Rwanda has been going on. So essentially, Congo, in terms of its mineral wealth, is one of the wealthiest countries potentially on the planet. Well, most of those resources are found on the eastern half of Congo, which which is where there's a border with Rwanda. The Rwandan president is a man by the name of Paul Kagame. He's been in power now probably 30 years or more. From what I have been able to find out in doing some research, Paul Kagame is no doubt in my mind that he's a CIA operative,
Mm.
and that it is the CIA and other, European, maybe intelligence groups or the former colonial powers, if you will, that are backing Kagame in his war against the Congolese in order to gain control of the Congolese minerals. You have to keep in mind, right, that for the US and the European former colonial powers, they have to come to grips with the fact that China controls 70% of the world's rare earth minerals.
Mm.
But it got to find them from somewhere. And because Congo is so mineral rich, they're fighting a proxy war using one brother against another brother
Mm.
to try, I
Divide and
guess, to
conquer. Divide and
destabilize,
conquer.
right, to destabilize the Congolese government and to find, of course, a puppet that they'll put in power who will allow the Europeans to again gain access to the country's mineral wealth. It's the same thing they're doing down in Venezuela. We have, I read a clip an excerpt from Trump's statement, but in an article right below that, they said that the USS, um, uh, what is it? The USS Ford from President Gerald R. Ford,
Right, right.
that aircraft carrier, probably the newest and most powerful of the naval,
Largest aircraft carrier, right?
it is on its way being moved from Europe into position into the Caribbean Sea and striking this of Venezuela. So, we're destroying small vessels off the coast of Venezuela and saying that they're narco terrorists.
And we don't know that. We don't know
We
that for
have no
sure.
clue. We
And
have
even if they're riding in the little motorboats, they're not making it here to America in those little damn boats, man. They may be going to Trinidad or even Jamaica, but they're not making it here to America in them little. They get how many times they got to stop and refuel. Oh,
right. So the reality is that, we have no proof that these are narco terrorists. This is just something that the president has labeled them. But, here we are preparing to take military action for resources. Venezuela, everybody knows Venezuela, it has rivers of oil. And Venezuela has also, major reserves of gold.
mm-hmm. The fourth
So,
largest in the world.
so you have to understand that for major corporations, multinational corporations, they can't sleep at night knowing that there are some resources around the world. And they can't get their hands on them.
Well, Trump
So,
just slid his way in there by giving them $40 billion. Well, that's Argentina, but
that's
I'm sure he's
Argentina.
sliding his way. I'm sure he's sliding his way down to Venezuela too, and try to get his hands on some of that too. Maybe that's why he's blowing up those boats and whatnot.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, this is going back for years. We've been trying to find ways to attack Venezuela, going back to when Hugo Chavez was president. And Nicolas Maduro, the current president, was hand selected by Chavez to take over, since Chavez died, unfortunately from cancer.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the same program all over the world. If you have resources that the multinational corporations and the major European powers need, then we're going to take them, and we will resort to almost any means. Well, as Malcolm X would say, by any means necessary to get them. And in this case, we're using Rwandans to kill their brothers in Congo in order to get control of those resources.
Mm-hmm. And I heard that he wants to go down to Mexico and mess with the cartel. Is that what it is? He was supposed to be going after the cartel next, sending the SEAL Team 6 down to mess around with the cartel.
Well, this is all, in my mind, this is one about controlling the resources, the oil and the gold. Two, it's about controlling the drug trade, right? let's be realistic. This country has, and a lot of wealthy families, mind you, in this country, have been heavily involved in the drug trade going back, more than a century. I mean, we're talking almost 2 centuries when there were many rich and powerful families in this country that were heavily involved in the forced importation of opium into China. And that's how many of these countries made their fortune from drugs. And there's still a lot of families in this country making their fortune from drugs. So when you have the cartels making hundreds of billions of dollars on illicit drugs, they have a lot of people saying, you know what? We can make that money. We can eradicate the cartels and we can make that money directly.
You know, it's the funny, the irony of it is that they don't make fentanyl. They've already proven them no fentanyl in Venezuela. They're not making any over there. They're not shipping anything over here from Venezuela. No fentanyl whatsoever.
Well, you have to well, here's the thing, right? See, this is just the falsehood that's coming out of Trump's mouth and those in Washington. Fentanyl is a derivative of opium. There is no opium in Venezuela or in Venezuela. Venezuela, Colombia, places like that produce cocaine. You can't make fentanyl from cocaine. Cocaine is a stimulant, complete opposite of what fentanyl does. So what we're doing is we're lying to the American people and trying to create justification for going in to attack these people. But how does it benefit us, the American people? Because if you're going to go into Venezuela, it's going to require boots on the ground, right? And you're going to put boots on the ground and you're not even paying these guys. The Navy is amassing off the coast of Venezuela and they're not getting paid. What about their families at home who need to put food on the table?
Did you hear the last that they're trying to come up with monies or whatever? Got monies donated that to go for the soldiers to help feed the troops, the ones that's not getting paid. And when they sat down and figured it out, it was like that's not even gas money. When it breaks down to the individual soldiers, they're not even getting gas money. And that was the thing about the money with the soldiers.
It takes hundreds of millions of dollars just to make the payroll of all the members of the armed services. And that doesn't include logistical stuff, fuel, food, uniforms, and all these other things, right? So we're talking billions of dollars yearly to support the military. And you're asking the military to move into position to launch a potential strike on the country, and yet you're not being paid. So how does how do we, the American people, benefit from a strike? How do we benefit from the bombing of Iran?
We don't.
And how do we benefit from a war with Venezuela?
We don't. Well, let's pick that up on the other side, bro. All right. Yeah, I tell you, if anybody's down there in Marshall Creek's area, I guess that's going out towards Marshall Creek, you can go down and check out IQ's. It's a cigar lounge and it's booming, it's banging. You have a good time. You can play some spades on times. They have a throwback Thursday at times. So I'm gonna tell you, this weekend, what was it though? The singing. You missed out on it, right?
I got there after, but it was a good time. It's always a good time at IQ. And walked in, and a lot of guys I worked with were there. Guys I haven't seen in years. It was unfortunate. I couldn't stay longer. But yeah, I'll be there Friday night for the comedy show. Well, Saturday night for the comedy show. If you're not doing anything Saturday night, folks, come down to IQ Lounge.
We're down here in Pennsylvania, so if you're in the Pocono area, you want a good place to hang out, going down to Q's. I'm sure you'll have a good time. Yo, let's pick up where we left off at, brother. Well, bring me back.
Well, we're talking about what's going on and the benefit for the American people. And there's absolutely none. There's no upside to war. You know, when you talk about economics, they used to have a model called guns or butter, right?
Mm.
Either gonna buy guns or you're gonna buy butter, which means butter. Well, that is the nutritional side. You're going to provide food aid. You're going to build the infrastructure, right? Domestic stuff. The guns, on the other hand, well, that's when you're talking about warfare, right? And if you look at the US budget, the vast majority of our budget goes to defense, right? The vast majority of it. You know, you have people in Washington who jump up and down because someone got, you know, $1,000 in food assistance a month. We say nothing about people like Elon Musk, who has lucrative government contracts that enriches a man who's got hundreds of billions of dollars. We say nothing about Jeff Bezos. This man spent what, $500 million on a wedding? But we get angry at you know, a perceived welfare mother who may get $1,000 in food subsidy a
I
month.
don't. They $65 a day, man.
Well, but
That's
you see,
it.
in some people's mind,
$65 a day, man. That's it. They
but
don't
I
even
mean,
get $100.
if you have,
$65. How do you
but
live
if
on
you have a large
$65 a day?
family, if you have a large family, right, they'll give you more,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there were some people that might have, you know, 8, 9, 10 kids, right? So of course, with that, you're going to get a higher food subsidy. But the fact of the matter, if you get $1,000 a month, that will be the headline on Fox News. We talk about the minimum wage. We know what the minimum wage is. I'd like to ask a politician, what's the maximum wage in America? There is
Yeah.
none. So they want to tell you how poor they can keep you, but there's no cap on how rich people can be.
And they want to keep
Or
you poor.
how
They
they
want to
go
keep
about
you
living
poor.
it.
They
Right.
want to keep you poor. In order for them to get richer, they gotta have poor. That's just it.
Right.
You
Mhm.
gotta have somebody look down upon. And that's what they get. They've given the American people somebody to look down upon. And right now it's the migrants. So a lot of the American people, black people, white people, they're looking down upon the migrants. And now we're finding out the loss of all these migrants are really hurting us economically because there's nobody out there to tend the fields, if you sort of say. We've lost out. You got people that are afraid to show up at work.
You know, I saw something the other day, right? And all this is it should be clear, right? What's happening in this country. But I saw something the other day, and people were saying, look, one guy in particular said, listen, if Trump killed somebody on the front steps of the White House, I'm with him. In other words, I don't care what this man does. I don't care if he is a dictator. And someone else said, this country needs a dictator. He said, I hate to say it, but this country needs a dictator. So what we have is a core of Trump supporters that no matter what he does, again, as I said, this is not about making America great. This is not about strengthening the economy. This is not about bringing jobs back to this country. This is about angry white men who feel as if their place in history, their strength, their ability to rule, they believe this God-given ability is being threatened by black men, brown men, by women, by LGBTQ. So because of that, they support Trump, even to their own demise. Because for those folks who are farmers, right? Well, they've cut the subsidy to farmers, but you're giving 20, possibly $40 billion to prop up Argentina's soybean
Mm.
industry
Mm.
in exchange for beef. We have cows in America. So
Well,
why
we
would
make
we?
cars here too. So why is he telling us to go to buy foreign cars? after he goes over to Japan, and they kind of bend at the knee for him and kiss his ass. And all you got to do with Trump is rub him on the shoulders a little bit and tell him how great he is, and you get all you want. So he probably made a deal over there with the Japanese to sell more Japanese cars over here. So he's telling Americans to go buy foreign cars. He's not telling you to go buy a Ford, a Chevy, or a Lincoln Continental. He's not telling you to go buy a Jeep. He's telling you to go buy foreign cars. That's what
Well,
he's
he
telling.
do.
I
Well,
guarantee. I'm sorry. I guarantee that him and the rest of those people that he hang out with, I guarantee they all got money in the stocks and all of those businesses in China, Japan, all of that, Argentina. I guarantee they got money and they're making plenty of money off of this.
well, I'll tell you something, right? So the new prime minister of Japan, I can't remember her name. She's the first woman elected to hold that position. She talked about investment in America, right? I guess establishing more plants, Toyota plants in this country.
Mm-hmm.
But, for Trump, if you think you're accomplishing something, yeah, you're creating some jobs, but you're helping the Japanese economy because Japan is going to be building cars here and Americans will, buy those cars and the money goes back to Japan, right? So, you might be creating some American jobs, but the money will be going back to the Japanese, right? So, a lot of these deals that Trump has promised, he talked about so many deals he would sign. Well, where are all these deals and where are the jobs that he promised?
I'm gonna tell you, even with the job situation, with the advancement of robotics and AI, there won't be jobs for America. You see what's going on with Amazon, right? That they're
Mm-hmm.
letting go all of these people, and they're gonna have they're turning all their places. They're robotic and AI. So even with the advancement of robotics and AI, I don't think there's going to be a lot of jobs per se for Americans anyway. And they tell us that we're not educated enough. We don't have enough intelligence or education to do the other type of labor that needs to be done. Not the physical labor, but the mental labor. We don't build anything. Everything is done by engineers and people that are overseas. And Trump just what did he just cut the legs off some people so we don't have people coming from other countries. He's charging them like $100,000 with the H-1B or H-1B visa to come into the country. He's charging them like $100,000 to say, hey, yeah, you can come in now. We need those people, scientists, doctors, lawyers, because we're lacking that stuff here. You go
Well,
to a hospital. Check it out. You go to a hospital now and look at the majority of the people that are doctors.
you have to keep in mind, right, that Trump really doesn't care about anybody but Trump and his family and those around him, his billionaire buddies. But realistically, in this country, we've had a shortage of doctors and nurses going back years. Now that Trump is making it so difficult to enter this country, both of those foreign students who want to study medicine in this country, he's making it very, very hard. What happens to the American population if we're unable to to bring in more doctors, more nurses? We're already cutting healthcare to the bone. Just next month, some of these healthcare cuts will go into effect. And once that happens, hundreds of thousands of people will be kicked out of the healthcare system. Where will they go to get healthcare? What will they do? And right now, you don't hear Trump addressing the shutdown. You don't hear him talking about we need to get the government reopened. You don't really hear Speaker Johnson talking about it. In fact, there's
Why
not
are they
a
not ordering their people to come back for their little mini vacations that they're on? Or I wouldn't say mini. They're on vacation for over a month now. And
well, you know
why are they
why
not
that
calling
is.
back the Republicans? Because I mean, didn't the Republicans shut down the government, and they shut down the government because of the taxes for their Affordable Care Act. They didn't want to give them a tax break, and they didn't want to fund it. So they shut down the government, and then they said, well, it was the Democrats who did it, but the Democrats didn't have any power. The Republicans they control everything. They have all of the power.
Well, at this stage of the game, right? I don't think either party is really in a rush to reopen the government. And I say that because they're receiving their checks. The military isn't. People like FBI agents, people like, TSA agents who are responsible for screening the millions of passengers that come into this country, or the domestic travelers. They're not getting a paycheck. But both members, Democrat and Republican of the Senate, they're getting paid. The Supreme Court is getting paid. And of course, the president and his staff, they're getting paid. Now, you think about it, some of these people are wealthy, extremely wealthy. Donald Trump, just within the last few months, just made an additional $1 billion from, cryptocurrency. And he's getting paid. But a soldier who may be bringing home $3,000-4,000 a month, subsistence, right? Just, subsistence level money, isn't. This guy may be sitting on a ship somewhere headed toward Venezuela, maybe into harm's way, and his wife is trying to reach him saying, they're about to turn off the lights. You don't hear either party talking about that.
Hmm.
And, what bothers me in listening to, be it, you look at the news on TV, you listen on the radio, you look at the internet, they always have the same people that they talk to. They don't talk to average Americans. They have people that they're paying to come on who are going to carry a particular message. Why not ask the American people, what do you think? What is your life like? How hard is it for you right now with the government being shut down? Here in Pennsylvania, we don't have a state budget yet. That budget is supposed to be passed, I believe, by July. And here it is, we're entering November, and the Commonwealth does not have a budget. So for all these folks in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that are relying on the government for assistance, the state government for assistance, there's none coming. For the school districts, I work for Scranton School District. Scranton School District has enough money to pay its employees till December. After that, they'll run out of cash.
Well, this is what I could say, brother. We're gonna pick it up next week again, and we can talk about some more about what's going on with this crazy ass government and what's going on in this crazy ass world, from the Congo to the White House to our house out here in Harrisburg. This is Stevenson. This is my brother Yates. Pops, we like to say Ashe, and we're out of here. Peace.
All right. Peace.